In order to aim for the best during the 1998-99 season, the Erie Otters first had to form a team identity from a short stack of veterans and a busload of newly drafted rookies. The Otters opened the season with 7 newcomers on the active roster. Due to injuries, by early February, the number had climbed to 10. But because of a new head coach, some talented leaders, and an emerging superstar, the Otters' aim was true early on. General Manager Sherry Bassin commissioned old friend and former colleague Paul Theriault to mold the raw talent into a winner, one hopefully reminiscent of the Oshawa Generals teams of the 1980s, which Theriault, Bassin, and head scout Frank Jay led to 2 Memorial Cup finals. By the middle of the season, Theriault had reached the 400-win milestone for his career. More importantly to him, his players began to believe in the system. By the time it was all over, Theriault had everyone asking themselves what could have been if the Otters had only stayed healthy. Tyler Rennett, a smooth skating center who learned to score goals on the ponds of North Bay. Shane Nash, an original Otter, now better than a point per game over 4 seasons. Arvid Rikas, silk on skates and a rock in his own end. Paul Harvey from the streets of South Boston, a great shot and a lot of attitude. Michael Rupp, size, strength, and pure power on the wing. Steve Monador, an offensive defenseman, very offensive. Along with overagers Jeff Zaire, Derek Watson, and second-year players Jason Baird, Ryan Lee, and Wade Clubb. And don't forget Tim Conley. Only in his second season, Conley had emerged as the Otters' true on-ice leader after a remarkable rookie campaign. Bassin has called him a fearless leader and says he is one of the great talents he's ever seen. His hands have been compared to those of Wayne Gretzky, his style of play to Steve Yzerman. He has been dubbed the young man carrying the hopes of an entire hockey-playing continent. That's by Ken Campbell of the Hockey News. The young star insisted the pressure would not affect his game, and guess what? He was right. After 4 early wins over London, Guelph, Sault Ste. Marie, and Kitchener, the Otters were 4-2 against strong opposition. Then after a trade that brought in a new netminder, Corey Batten, the Otters strung together 6 wins in a row in November behind Batten and promising rookie goaltender J.F. Parra. Conley and the offense were buzzing. Game-winning goals came from Baird, who had 3 in the stretch, Russian rookie sensation Nikita Alexiev, Conley, and Tyler Rennett, who provided heroics in the Otters' 5-4 overtime victory against London. After a win on the road against Kingston in early December, the Otters were sitting pretty at 16-10-1 when the 98-99 season took a tumultuous turn for the worse. Tragedy struck, beginning an emotional roller coaster of ups and downs, injuries and surprise performances, falls and recoveries. On December 6th, rookie winger Derek McDonald suffered a severe concussion after a vicious hit sent him into the boards and down to the ice. McDonald made an amazing recovery just days before Christmas, but the jolt from the injury began a string of many others to the Otters, which became almost too much to handle. At the trade deadline, Erie swapped overage left wingers, bringing in New York Rangers prospect Andrew Proskornicki, but the well-known leader in the clubhouse was still out of commission due to a bad thumb injury that would keep him out of the lineup for another month. With Proskornicki offering help to the younger players on the bench, the Otters got the shot in the arm they needed in early February, when a trio of rookies led them to an unlikely 4-3 triumph over their division-leading rival, the Guelph Storm. Defensive specialist Darren McMillan scored the game winner for his first OHL tally on a pretty play from Erie native Jordan Legacy and Durham tough guy Jim McGilvery. 3 nights later, the Otters engineered one of the most dramatic comebacks of the season against the Windsor Spitfires. Jason Baird tied the game in the third, then won it with only 18 seconds remaining in overtime. It was Baird's 5th game winner of the season and kept the Otters undefeated in overtime. When Parra helped turn that win into 4 in a row, and then Batten shut out the Ottawa 67s with 40 saves, Word on the street harkened to the 17-game unbeaten streak of the season before. Could it happen again? Well, why not? The rookies, led by boys Nikita Alexiev and Brad Yo, had become go-to guys, and the whole team had been resilient in ending the long mid-season slump. With Conley leading the way and two netminders streaking together, anything seemed possible. Until one of the top players in the league went down for the season. Tim Conley broke his right leg in February after netting 34 goals. A clean break in his tibia bone meant a full recovery down the road, but marked the end of the season for Conley. Upon returning home with a 4-game losing streak, Andrew Proskornicki dug deep for his first ever OHL hat trick in his first Otters home appearance. In overtime, Shane Nash went 1-on-5 with Peterborough and scored a thrilling game winner to lift the Otters over the Petes. But an emotional loss to the Whalers painted the looks of frustration on everyone's face, and the playoffs could not arrive fast enough. Erie rebounded later against the Platers. In overtime, it was Nash with the game winner again, his second in a week, and Perra foreshadowed the playoffs with a gutsy 48-save performance. Another setback to Kitchener turned the tides again, and it seemed as if the Otters would limp into the postseason. But with this bunch of players and coaches Theriault and Steve Harrison at the helm, we all should have known better. With 4 games remaining, everybody turned it up for a clash with definite first-round playoff opponent, the Guelph Storm. Rookies Ryan Frazier, Julius Hapkenny, and Steve Nobley, along with veterans Rupp, Rennett, and Baird, helped their team muster up one final attack. With the Civic Center packed for a clash with the Knights, Tim Conley made a dramatic return. Still on crutches, he could merely offer his inspiration. It worked. Yo started the scoring with a nasty slap shot, and the Otters never looked back, scratching and clawing their way to wins over London, Brampton, and Toronto. Now, instead of limping into the postseason, this team came in wounded but ready to fight. Despite outstanding work in the net by J.F. Perra, Erie lost both games in Guelph. Tyler Rennett was on fire, and both goaltenders continued to play well, but it was a lack of experience and depth that foiled the Otters in this series. Rennett's hat trick was not enough in Game 3, and a perfect 5-1 win in Game number 4 was the only victory the team could manage. Game 5 was a thriller that Guelph stole in the third to end the season on a difficult note. While the Otters' season ended on a negative, there were many positives to be taken from this roller coaster campaign. The team never quit, regardless of the circumstances, and a great core of players will be back next year, including 2 promising goalies and a swath of skaters. The motto of aim for the best was never forgotten, and each player grew by the experience. At the NHL draft in Boston, Tim Conley was chosen 5th overall by the New York Islanders, the first North American to come off the board, joining current teammate and other Islander prospects Michael Rupp. Sean Dixon was scooped up in the 6th round by the Montreal Canadiens. Also, the team has spent the offseason getting healthy and in the best shape possible for a drive at a championship in 1999-2000. With Conley and Dixon expected back and another strong crew of rookies ready for a rigorous training camp, things are looking up again. There's no doubt about it. The Erie Otters are poised and ready to break away in the 99-2000 season.